am smiling. Now we're live.
Now we're live.
Good thing we weren't live 30 seconds ago. You don't even want to know.
So welcome to the chat with Yivvits and Mr. Bubble Webcast. Woo!
Yeah, we're very excited to... Yeah, there they are. Now, something I want to know here. First of all, let's do the introduction. Sorry, we have a script. Start.
All right. I'm Aimee Ashlanne Rekoske, the project manager for the community relations team.
Scripts don't help, see?
Yeah, no, not me. And this is Brasse Carlson, the director of global community relations.
Mm-hmm.
And Yivvits and Mr. Bubble of the Yivvits and Mr. Bubble podcast are with us today. Hey, guys.
Hello.
And we have a great webcast for you. Yivvits and Mr. Bubble are going to share with you how they got into online gaming and podcasting. They're going to talk about their shows, a little bit about Star Wars Galaxies, and with any luck, we'll be able to take some questions at the end. We've already...
Yeah. I don't know if we agreed to questions. I'm
sure there will be questions. Yes. Okay, so the first thing I want to know is, which one's Yivvits and which one's Mr. Bubble?
What do you think?
See?
I know.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I'm not even going to guess. I'm just going to sit here and hold my breath.
She can do that for a really long time.
Come on, you gotta guess.
Okay, who likes
ribbons? Which one of us likes
I love
ribbons?
Oh,
why don't you just...
You can just, they're good.
They are good.
Oh yeah, that makes me miss.
Oh wait, I got a question. Who likes Hello Kitty?
And I'm
I love Hello Kitty.
Yeah. I'm just an angry Wookiee.
Yes.
All right, so that's Yivvits.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, got it. Now I know. You gotta put a face to the name. So let's start right at the beginning. What got you into online gaming, and how long have you been gaming?
Well, I basically started with Star Wars Galaxies.
Really?
Which, at this point in time, I actually am a little bit peeved about that. I started with that because now it's the game I measure every other game by.
You're gonna end.
I'm going to stop with Star Wars Galaxies.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Star Wars Galaxies, my first, played that until 2006, and until I had a copy of EQ2 went around and tried that, and that's fun too.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing a little of that, and I play a little mix of things now, so really just kind of didn't know what the whole deal was. And 2004, I just played Star Wars Galaxies, and there you go.
Right.
And we talked about a lot that we both held the EverQuest box in our hands, like in the day, like in the late '90s. I could never pull the plug and do the 15 a month, but I almost tried it back then. It looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I started in with that it's called There. Remember that one? Have you heard that one? It died.
It's There.
Yeah, it's
over there.
THERE. Stupid name, but it was like a little social, like a precursor to Second Life. I started with that one.
Ah.
And then,
Second Life, but cleaner.
Yes. Family oriented.
More family
Yeah,
oriented.
correct. Yeah. And then Star Wars Galaxies a couple months after this guy did. So
Yeah.
Ah. So.
Because we love Star Wars. I mean, that was the natural. I mean, that's what's fun about these games is to pick one that fits the universe you like to play in, whatever you're into.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was cool for me. Robots, spaceships.
Yeah, I know. What's better than droids and ribbons, right?
Oh, I ask you, what is better?
Well, I can think of a few.
So did you guys get into Star Wars Galaxies because you were huge fans of the Star Wars franchise itself?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we both have been, kind of gaming nerds for a long time, and I played a lot more console games.
Right.
You're more Atari, I'm more Nintendo.
That's right.
So,
A nice balance.
it is, yes.
Yeah.
And how long have you guys known each other?
At the N64, so.
Yeah. How long have
So,
you
yeah,
guys known each other?
That's a long
That's
story.
amazing. I knew I was using 11s per day, I called them. It was kind of creepy borderline on my side.
There were some restraining orders.
Yeah. It was a weird scene when I was like 24 probably at the time, and this kid here was 17, and I'm in his basement, we're watching videos or something. His mom's coming down the stairs like, hey. But I met him online in the day we both ran bulletin boards.
And that's when, meeting with somebody online didn't have the connotations that it does now.
That's
so.
right.
Or so you say. Yes.
Right.
We say.
Yeah.
So, but we both ran bulletin boards. A lot of people know that vintage. And we went that way.
Yeah.
Computer
Both had those,
meetings, all that.
and we both worked at the same place for a while.
Yeah. And we went to the same locker room at the Y.
Yeah.
Okay, stop there.
Okay.
We had this discussion before the show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's how we met, and it's just the friendship has blossomed from there.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Bubble moved a few blocks away from me, and now he lives one house away from me.
Exactly.
So I'm not
Wow.
sure what's going on with that.
Total randomness. Our town's about 15,000 people, and I started dating a girl who happened to own a house 2 houses away from this guy. And I married her, and now he's my neighbor. How fun is that?
All right.
He's always borrowing me sugar,
Yeah.
sugar and ribbons.
Yeah.
So
Plenty of ribbons. Anyway, yes, the answer is yes. Whatever you ask.
how'd you guys get into podcasting?
That's him. He initiated it.
Oh, it was, remember like in 2005 or so, remember they kind of took off. There was some point where they started to take off. But we're nerds, and we were already into the game for about a year, half a year, whatever it was. And it sounded like something that we could talk about each time. And we just, I remember Rush Limbaugh started talking about them on his show. I was in the car, I was listening. And really, Rush is like, I figured, oh my God, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Rush, but I do listen to him occasionally. And I'm like, what? I mean, this guy has a podcast, so I figure, anybody had him. And they were just being added to iTunes, I think, around that time.
Yeah.
So I had some audio equipment, and we committed to 6. We recorded 6, and we just kept going after that. It really hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
I haven't actually checked, but are some of those early podcasts still available? Or did you burn
some
them?
of them are. There's a gap between like episode 8 and 22.
Yeah.
And
It's
why
like-
is that?
It's like I'm missing 17 minutes in the Nixon tape library.
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, did you get cease and desist letters or what?
Well, I don't know, but you tell me. You guys are more concerned. So.
No, I've always-
we just we changed providers. Originally, we didn't have a provider for storage that would archive and keep them online.
Exactly.
And we changed after a while, and the new one does. So somewhere we got to find those old ones. We have some contacts that have them, and we're gonna try to get them and put them out someday.
That's
Look,
cool.
we didn't think we'd be doing it for
No.
many years, and we're just like, okay, whatever, let's keep doing it, man. Yeah,
So- When you first started the podcast, did you start out as sort of a, I've got opinions, you've got opinions, I'm mad at the game, let's rant about it, or was it more informational?
Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of grew partially out of some anger about some certain game changes to Star Wars Galaxies. I mean, that
I
was
don't know
part
what
of-
you're talking
that
about,
grew
so.
out of that frustration.
Yeah, that absolutely grew over time. Your persona of the angry,
Yeah.
that definitely, that grew.
Well, the combat upgrade had just been happened,
Okay.
not the NGE.
Right. Spring of 2005.
Yeah, so there were people. Oh, but
Now,
I'm
what
sorry,
did we
what?
say about using swear words on the show, right?
I'm sorry. Send me another cease and desist.
No, that's actually
No,
rather
it's-
interesting
it
that's
was
what
debate.
spurred you to,
No, it's just,
to
we can
start.
talk about every week the events that happened. And
We
things going on.
some of our earlier stuff has got some really weird things. I mean, not that we don't now have weird things, but we were reading like excerpts from the movies,
Yeah, we just read some scripts, a couple
Yeah.
pages of the script, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
and we knew it was terrible, but that's the funny part, kind of. Just like these two weird
Well, even that,
guys.
we picked like the mundane.
Yeah, the
scenes.
really boring scenes. I
Yeah,
mean,
we hype them up as being, oh, this is a really important scene.
yeah,
and
this is pivotal.
yeah, right, a pivotal
Yes.
scene. Yeah, right.
So, there you go.
What do you like best about podcasting?
Well,
Being done with the episode, I always.
being done with the episode, yeah, that's not bad.
Being done?
I can agree with that some days.
Podcast and we, see each other in games too.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to just sit down and sometimes and just kind of like, how are you?
Yeah.
And people like that, so it's like we just record it and put it out there.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
and we would probably talk about a lot of that stuff, even if we weren't podcasting, other than taking phone calls and stuff. We
That's
probably
true.
wouldn't do
That's
it.
true. Because like you and I would take a ride to Minneapolis or St. Paul, and
Right.
we talk for
Go to
45 minutes
IKEA.
in the car.
And get the Swedish meatballs.
We go to IKEA, right? We just talk about tech stuff for a while, that
Yeah.
kind of.
Right.
I still love my Yorker desk.
Yeah,
That's a great
good
desk.
desk, yeah. IKEA has some solid products.
Yes, it do.
So, do you want to ask about why they've got 2 websites?
Yeah, why do you have 2 websites? You
Yeah.
have swigpodcast.com and yivvitsandmrbubble.com.
Just to confuse you, Amy.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Just for me.
No, we started, the forums site is separate. It's just the way it's hosted. And I've never been, had enough energy or whatever you want to call it to, motivation to put them together. The one is just the feed for the podcast.
Oh, okay.
So the other site is, so the SWG podcast is just our feed site.
And we'll have to change that one after December 15th.
Yeah, we will have to change that. We're gonna have to change it to just podcast.
I know, yeah. Random podcast. Hey, speaking of that, Amy's made a bunch of notes here, and what does it say here? It says, oh yeah, I'll do this in the Dwarven voice too, because you advertise, since 2005, Yivvits and Mr. Bubble have been talking about whatever crap pops in their head, usually sci-fi or nerdy, often whimsical, random, or just inappropriate. Oh, and video games. Yes, Star Wars Galaxies is one they mention a lot. So, is that a disclaimer or a description?
Is that your dwarf voice?
Yes, it goes better if I have the full beard
Very
on.
good. I like that.
We just had to be sure. It's hard for Minnesotans to tell accents, so,
Really.
you know, don't you know? Yeah, so I think you wrote that, but I don't know.
What does it mean?
We disclaim it. I mean, we don't have like a set topic list. And I think you're gonna get to this question, but, I was trying to think of a joke there, but I couldn't find one, so. The question I think you're gonna ask, go ahead.
I'm telling you what these, yeah.
We're terrible at that, on the spot stuff. But, the question is probably gonna be, you know, do you talk about other stuff besides Star Wars Galaxies? And yeah, because if we didn't,
That much I
we
know.
wouldn't be doing this still.
Right.
Because you can't find a lot of shows out there that talk about just a single game for 12 years.
Yeah.
So you have to talk about those other things. And obviously, if we haven't been playing for a while, or we haven't really, we're not in a good place with Star Wars Galaxies,
Bored.
or bored, we're just gonna talk about something else, you know? And if people like it, then they can listen. If they don't, then
Right.
we tell them they can get their own lawyer and sue us.
Exactly.
Oh, speaking of which, you should probably, we always start, we're doing a new thing on our show. We start the show with the Star Wars Galaxies oath. You know Star Wars Galaxies oath?
No.
No.
Do you know? Do you remember it?
I always love it, yeah.
I always love it too. It's episode 140 something of our show, I think. Anyway, it's the oath that was like, it's in the Star Wars Galaxies files, and I wish I knew it off the top of my head because I tell it to you, but
That's
yeah.
pretty sad. We do this awesome thing, but we don't really remember what it is.
I promise
Yeah.
to treat my fellow.
I mean, they never put it in the game, but it's
Citizen.
in the actual files on
It's
your
really
hardware.
weird.
You can play it.
That's so
We have to
cool.
look this up.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put that in the next podcast that
Mhm.
we do as well.
Yeah.
I
so-
promise it, like to treat my fellow players with respect.
And to obey the rules
I like
of
the
conduct.
sticker at the end there.
This is booming professional voice. I mean, it's like any other dialogue. It's just really, it's right there. And it was, I think it's during the player creation screen, maybe.
I think so.
You had to
Ah.
agree to it. You had to type it in.
You have to type the whole thing in. Anyway,
Yeah, didn't make the cut, but
yeah.
it's funny.
You can cut that part out of this show because it's really kind of boring what we just
Right.
talked about.
This
So.
isn't live, so you can
Right.
edit this down, I'm sure.
But this is live.
This is definitely live.
Yeah.
Live.
Um,
Wave at the
I have to
people.
turn
Say
off-
hi.
Hello, live people.
So, what are the challenges of keeping a show like yours going for so many years?
Well, that's just it. Finding other things to talk about that we're not bored with.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the beauty is we have no schedule. If we just aren't feeling it, we just don't do it. If we say, I have something to talk about, you know, we can then do the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
Or like, you're like, oh, Sony is really pissing me off.
That never happened.
Whatever. It's like, not that you would ever say that, but
No.
turbines making me really mad. Yeah, right. Or Wizard of Warcraft. What is that game called?
Wizard of
Yeah,
Warcraft.
what is it called?
Wizards Online. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Warcraft. What is it called? World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, is that popular? I don't
No, not anymore.
think I played that. I like it for that.
All right.
Wow. Okay, you guys are like, you know, refugees from Monty Python's Flying Circus or something. Hey, can I ask, I'm getting the impression that your shows are largely unscripted. Do you even have a topic list when you start, or do you just really definitely talk about whatever crap pops into your head, as the disclaimer states?
It's keywords, but probably just
Yeah.
maybe rarely filling more than one page, if that.
If we have emails, we print them out, we look through them, we toss out the ones that are just rambling, like forum posts. We look through it, we read them all, but, you know, sometimes.
Some people are boring. I must
Some
be
people are
honest.
boring, so,
Sometimes, you know, I guess.
we love it all, but then we get the voicemails, and then we trim those down from 3 minutes each to 30 seconds each.
Right.
And that's what we put on the show, I
Right.
guess. But no, Mr. Ole usually writes a plan of like a little bullet list, and then we just go from there, you know?
Cool. So, can we talk a little bit about what you do in Star Wars Galaxies? For instance, in all the years that I've played, I'm about to start a new Bothan character, but I've always played a Twi'lek, and I went from being an entertainer to a politician, and then, well, now I'm a Jedi, because after doing all those holocrons for so long and never getting there, I figured it's now my right to play a Jedi. So, what do you play?
Well, I mean, honestly, both of us haven't been in a lot lately since the announcement, and I think there's obvious reasons for that. For me, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when it gets closer to the time where it's gonna start, you know, winding down, which means things are gonna, you know, wind up in the game.
Yes.
That's gonna be a little different for me. I'll be in more then, but you know, honestly, there's a part of me that's kind of like, well, you know, it's gonna be gone. So I don't know, it's a personal struggle.
Yeah.
Wookiees have to deal with this on their own time.
Like I had a cat once. I had a deer family cat, who he had some problems. We took him to the vet, and the vet said, "I'm sorry, your cat's only gonna have 2 or 3 days to live, or we can give him some fluids and he might live for a couple of weeks." I'm like, I don't want this. I mean, really, it was sad. It was the kidney failure. It was like, I'm not gonna enjoy those 2 weeks knowing he only has 2 weeks. I mean, that's the way I feel with the swig. Not on that level, it was a deer cat, but it's like, okay, there's a finish line. It's like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna grind something? And,
Well,
you know,
I mean, and that's not to say that we think that the choice should have been just shut it down now. Because I mean, the right choice was made, in our opinion, that you give lots to people, or give people lots of time.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you guys did that expertly, or whoever decided that was an expert amount of time and warning and everything.
Yeah.
It still sucks, but I mean,
I
we
agree
can't
with
do
you
anything
on
about
every
it.
point. It
Like-
sucks, and we
Like-
did want to make sure that everyone had time to say goodbye properly. But I have to admit that I echoed the same feelings as you did. It's one of the reasons why I asked on our last podcast, what shall my new character be? Because I logged in with my familiar old character, and I felt a little lost. There's that little bit of grief deep down inside, and I honestly didn't know what to do for the first time ever when I logged into game. So I am thinking that as we ramp up, because I also like to keep my play characters private, so as we ramp up to the closure, I'll play a character called Brasse. I'll have a great time and just go all out on that, and that'll be a different sort of experience. But you were a Wookiee. What professions did you prefer?
Well, yeah, back in my heyday, I started with weaponsmith. Back when you had to really work hard and make
It
like
was tough.
10,000 barrels.
Yes.
Cute old timey
Yes.
music.
Yeah, I'll get the old Civil War music here for you. So I did that, and I like that a lot. And the crafting system in the game is magical in a way.
Oh.
That
Yes.
that other games don't even come close to.
Yeah.
And people talk about, well, that's the reason it's bad, because the database is too big and it's too complicated. We made fun of some Sony people for saying that. In fact, you know, oh, it's too complicated, it's too whatever. I mean, that's part of the beauty of it in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
And somebody originally had to write it, so obviously, I mean, it's not like this thing came down into Raph Koster's head like from God, and he just like typed it in and nobody else could figure it out. So, you know.
You don't know that. That might be how it happened.
I don't, but you know, maybe it was divine intervention. I don't know.
He climbed the mountain and came down with
Yeah.
these CDs and
This is the resource system.
Well, yeah. Speaking of
So I've
the,
done that, and then I did, and I really liked the you know, before the swear word happened. There are actually the 2 swear words. I really like the game best than just the realism and the forced social interaction. I liked that.
Mm.
Call it socialism or whatever you want to call it, but
No,
you know, I know the Tea Party doesn't like that kind of gameplay very much, but
no, we always, because like, I mean, it's a joke, but I really have fun being an entertainer. I've done that probably most.
Yeah.
High
I
five,
crafted
man.
toys at first, and then I did the entertainment. Because you're kind of tied into everything, everybody comes to the cantina, just like you'd expect in a Star Wars universe.
Mhm.
Everybody comes there and talks about what they're doing, and yeah, it's just kind of fun. And
yeah,
good, I like the tips, that was some good money.
yeah, the tips were good for you.
Do you still
So,
dance for
and then,
tips?
You know, I did Shipwright once the Jump of Lightspeed came out.
Oh, right, yes.
And then after the combat upgrade, I kind of did some of the same things. After the NG, I've really just kind of been lost in the game for a long time. I mean, honestly, just because I have so many hangups with targeting and stuff like that. Targeting!
He said the
And it
word.
never got fixed, of course, so, yeah, thanks.
I'm sorry, I'm suddenly tired. Sorry about that.
But, you know, it still has value in that, it still is a one-of-a-kind game even after all the changes.
Yeah, it really
And
is.
that's, to me, the worst part of it, leaving, that.
And it's going away.
Well, right, because there's nothing else out there that has the housing that's not instant, the crafting that's not complicated, and the social interactions. Show me one game where people actually use spatial chat, other than Star Wars Galaxies.
Right,
So,
it's
yeah.
it's
You never see it. Show me another game you can sit in chairs. Why is that so
wow.
complicated?
That was an accomplishment. I mean, that is ridiculously hard to achieve in games, and it's one of the biggest requests that we get in games that release long after Star Wars Galaxies. Speaking to the crafting system, I also found that to be brilliant. When I was a politician, of course, I didn't have a whole lot of points to spend in anything else, but I was one of the world's best harvesters, man. Was I ever good at getting on top of those nodes when they first spawned?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the forced interaction too. I mean, if you're in a good guild, the communication was constant because everyone relied on each other for everything, and
Yeah.
I really miss that. I really, really do. I
Yeah, I mean,
haven't found another game like
I
that.
don't share quite all the things I don't think we agree about, but I mean, I liked, like, even the mentoring, when you had to mentor people.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a good way to get people to talk to each other, to introduce them. Was it a pain, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. And I was also all for Decay. I think that's a great game mechanic, and
I was
know,
part of an armor smithing coalition, so yeah, Decay used to be awesome.
you know, until they added the anti-decay kits, then it screwed it up, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it takes guts to put that kind of thing in a game.
Yeah.
And the saddest part to me about Star Wars Galaxies is not that it's Star Wars that's going away, it's because it's all that stuff that's going away, and nobody else has the guts to do that stuff, because they won't hit the bottom line that the investors are looking for or whatever.
Like, for example, we think Lotor is pretty darn good, but even that game,
Right.
I mean, you can solo the whole thing with almost any class. I mean, yeah, it's the sway, just, you kind of have to, you used to have to
Right.
just group up sometimes, and it was all interact with a lot of other people.
Well, Swig has often been described as the quintessential sandbox game. And I know that I've heard Smed on more than one occasion talk about the various elements of a sandbox game that he'd like to see incorporated in the new games that we produce as well. And I'm really just holding out hope for that, because there are some things that have never been reproduced that worked very well in Star Wars.
So do you guys, we've talked a lot about Swig and the Sunset. Do you guys have any plans before it winds down? I know you said you're going to come back and play some. But any
Yeah, I
big
mean,
plans?
I guess I want to get in there and I know it's stupid. I actually joked about it in our last episode, but I want to like make a bunch of screenshots of a lot of stuff, like even just
Yes.
objects.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's one of the things. Here's another thing: Star Wars Galaxies. Any object that you find in the game, you can put in your house.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not instant. I can walk in there. Might take a minute or two to load. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I'm going to definitely do that and do some just hanging out, socializing.
Well, we like what I keep saying you guys, I mean, whoever decides.
Us guys. Believe me, there's a lot of people involved in this.
Correct.
Yeah.
We like what Sony, et cetera, did with the last 3 months. I mean, if you pay by whatever, September 15th,
Right.
whatever that is, if you're in good standing on that date, you get the next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Include that's pretty cool. I'm definitely gonna have my account in good standing by then and just ride it out, and it'll be. I think that last week will be pretty sentimental for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
I've already seen on your calendar, the events calendar. I mean, there are already parties popping up, like December 1st and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
people are planning out already.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be a really busy time. I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but we are going to be developing a Star Wars Galaxy's memory book. We're just going through the approvals process with LucasArts now, and really looking forward to that. Hoping that we can get you guys to submit some of your memories of the game in the podcast for that too.
I think there's a ribbon or two that you could send.
Yeah. That's a neat idea. I mean, those things, that'll be that's a great idea. People would love,
Definitely.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Do we have any listener questions, viewer questions?
They want Yivvits and Mr. Bubble to talk about something called gelatinous, or use that word.
I like that word. I like gelatinous things, pudding, soup. What? Do you have any comments on that?
No.
Okay.
I don't
That's all
know
I
what
can
it's,
say.
yeah.
What? That was a weird.
That's a really weird question.
That's totally weird.
That
There
is
was
totally
there was a
weird.
Facebook thing. They wanted us to say gelatinous. So.
Ah.
So
That's all. Yeah, I was hoping someone would ask me some food so I could mention gelatinous.
really, okay.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be sad if that's your only question.
Me too.
So Joel, any questions that make sense coming out of there?
They mentioned something about a character pledge.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
the
we
character
talked about
pledge that
That's
they
the
did.
pledge.
That's
Yeah.
the oath. Huh?
The oath, yes.
You mean
You gotta understand, a lot of our listeners are
This
from Canada.
oath?
They're just kind of,
They're a little off.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, okay.
we
Go ahead
have
and read
the
that.
oath.
Okay.
I promise to treat my fellow players and citizens with respect and to obey the code of conduct.
Yeah, there you got it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
But you gotta say it like them. I promise
Yeah.
I
to treat my fellow players and citizens with respect and to obey the, what is it? I don't remember.
to obey the code of conduct.
To obey the code of conduct.
Joel knows, yeah.
Ah.
I have it written down. Of course I know.
You cheated.
It's so bizarre that they had you type that in.
Do you have to
Right.
put your hand over your heart to say that?
Pretty much.
Yes.
That was actually from Jedi Elder Nishmo.
Okay.
We can thank him for that.
Nishmo.
Him, her, it. Could be.
We go way back, Nishmo.
Do I owe him money? I don't.
I don't.
You'll soon find out.
I think you paid him. So.
Anything else from the channel?
Not really. I think you've asked great questions. Oh,
Here it comes.
Gelatinous.
No, I don't know. Their questions are very random. And does Mr. Bubble still like wet wipes?
Do I still like wet?
Oh, they're talking about Cottonelle wipes. Or like, bathroom personal
Oh.
wipes.
I haven't used one in a long time.
Okay.
I have nothing against.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
This is why our show though doesn't it never gets boring for us because it's always we have these dumb things and
Yeah.
you can't keep a show going without
Yeah.
dumb stuff like
Well,
this.
that's a question that I actually have, and it's not on our list of questions at all. But
Well, I'm not sure if we can go into it then. But,
yeah, you can. I promise.
okay.
So you've covered Star Wars Galaxies for a long time. You've already said that the show is going to go on after Star Wars Galaxies shuts down. What are you going to start covering? Another game, or are you just going to go on randomly talk about T-Rexes and whether they're appropriate for T-shirt design or not? Or-
I'll have you know my T-Rex is wearing pink lady slippers.
Good
Can we
Lord, I didn't
see?
see that.
We can't see that from here.
Oh my
Here
god.
we go.
Wookiees. I'm telling you, Wookiees.
He's got hairy legs too. See?
That explains everything.
I mean, it really, I don't know what I'm gonna have for lunch tomorrow. I mean, by January or December, who
I know.
knows? You know,
Taco John's.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Because if it were right now, if we did one time, we'd probably be talking about Lotro, and that's about it. I mean, I don't know what's gonna be.
Yeah.
We're not getting, the big question is the big question we're getting asked is are you gonna talk about sweater or, the tour or whatever.
Right.
No big plans. I mean, we'll probably intersect that a lot as we get closer. I don't know when it's coming
I
out.
was thinking we'd do a whole episode on DC Universe.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, maybe not.
Yeah, but right, we don't know. Maybe the Swig emulator. I mean, I've dabbled with that.
Oh, wait,
Wait. No.
Okay, I do not recommend that. That's a horrible product. Don't.
So.
Yeah.
That seems like a good time to wrap up this
Yeah,
show.
I do think so.
Oh, no, come on.
No, it's been part of the appeal of your podcast. I have in fact listened to it several times, and they're very long, but I can't stop listening to them because you guys are very, very entertaining, and I never know what's going to come up next. So
Yeah.
thank you for all those years of wonderful entertainment, and I hope that we can get to listen to you for many more to come.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And one thing we have been doing now, we just started last time, is live call-ins. So
Yeah, right.
you guys can call in sometime when we have that.
Talk about gelatinous objects.
Yeah, we'll definitely have.
You can mention something on our show that you're not supposed to mention.
Yeah.
And then
What
we'll
would that be? What would that be?
we'll push you off real quick.
That'll be
Right.
terrific.
We'll say,
Okay.
okay.
Moving on to the next topic.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, thank you though. We really enjoy doing it.
I'm the king of awkward moments. I do it all the time. And it was cringes in public and
Yeah.
whatever.
So,
Whatever.
welcome to my world.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'd like to thank all of our listeners and Yivvits and Mr. Bubble for
Mhm.
stopping in and talking about the podcast, and let people know again where they can go to tune into the podcast.
www.swigpodcast.com or yivvitsandmrbubble.com.
Oh, Amy, we forgot something though.
What?
Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Ready? Go. Yeah, high five.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Evans.
Thanks very much, guys.
Bye,
Have a great
everybody.
week.
Thank you.